It's part two. I just remember hearing years ago that folks like that can make it, and they can be strong and intelligent and everything. And to see this whole situation with Clarence Thomas specifically, and there's other ones with Stephen Breyer is retired, and other folks who have taken clearly what we know to be bribes. It for me, being a criminal justice student in college, and doing projects and learning all this stuff and having to do multiple projects at the same time, they're a joke. They're an embarrassment, and they make the business of law and of finding fact. They bring it into disrepute. Clarence Thomas, once again, is an example of how this idea of black folks making it by hard work is really a misnomer. That's all it is. It's a misnomer that you can remain in power by just being ethical, and it's not true. I think that a time is coming, if things go down this path, they continue, that maybe not Trump, but that a Trump figure could be successful. A Trump-like figure could be successful if the government was in with him. I'll be clear about it. There is probably a deep state. And there probably are people who didn't like Trump. I think it's a lot more simpler than that. One thing about me now, compared to me being on the left years ago, is me being conservative, me being a InfoWars person, is realizing that a lot of this stuff isn't that complicated. It's about rich folks just doing pollution and getting away with it. I think that the reality, I think Trump cost a lot of people money in reaction to COVID, like not going to the malls, not shopping in that winter of 2020. I think it pissed a lot of people off. I don't think that's necessarily a deep state as much as it is just people who just didn't want to have to worry about that again. See, you've always had conservatives that downplay science. You always had conservatives that downplay reality. But there was always a sense of there comes a moment when you have to be realistic and serious. Trump never did that. Trump took the conservative BS. He took the conservative Kool-Aid all the way. And people died. And businesses were destroyed. I think that you got a lot of people like that who just felt like this guy is so irresponsible that him remaining in office would be really detrimental to the economy. See, you want to have an economy, but you also have people who have a certain kind of confidence that I can shop and not die. And Trump maybe never understood that you've got to have a stable society to have people who want to spend money. I feel that there could come a moment if we have more of these states that turn over this BS, Tennessee, Florida, Texas, that fall into the right wing garbage can, that another Trump presidency could be possible. A fascist, ruthless America is definitely possible. And sometimes I think if Trump hadn't been so forward with the things he believes, he could have been more successful. But he was so blatant, and the people he put in eventually proved to be fanatics, which I thought they'd be, that his future was in doubt. I don't think Reagan was so clear about using government to commit crimes. Trump came out and told everybody, with Iraq, we're going to take the oil. He told people this. I don't think even George Bush would have told people that. The attacking black women, reporters, and Kung flu comments. I just think there was a moment where even the white shoe boys had to run for cover. This is not to say that Trump was immoral in their eyes. I want to be clear. This is not a moral conversation. I'm not making moral statements here. I'm making statements about money, which is all conservatives seem to understand, which is money, making money, and taxes. That's all they get. So it's not a moral conversation. This is, we can't make money if he keeps doing this stuff. I think that the Lafayette Park incident, see, I don't think that conservatives realize that over time, how much he made a mockery of conservatism. The Lafayette Park thing, you know. And I understand it because Trump was never serious about Christianity. It was just for me and anybody else that knows it, it was just something he did when he went up and waved the Bible around upside down. He didn't care about the Bible. This is just something he did. This is just, hey man, when you do stuff, maybe mention God once in a while. Maybe say Jesus once in a while. He didn't care about this stuff. Lafayette Park, where him and Barr lied about gassing people, and they had the National Guard lieutenant, I believe, and reporters said, yeah, they gassed people, and the police didn't give any warning. They just did it. They have protests up there all the time. Trump came out there, and people thought he was going to shake hands with the pro, like Nixon did. They came out and talked about football. Trump went out there, and they went immediately to violence. Totally unnecessary, unprofessional use of force. And to see Mark Esper's undersecretary come out and resign on the spot and say what I just said, that Americans don't realize that's not common. That's a very high level position, and to have someone like that choose to resign like that, I'm not talking about you get sick that's very rare. And I think Republicans, they just were, well, he can fire his attorney general, he can fire this, he can do this. Yeah, but what you're doing is you're destroying the notion of effective government, which you don't believe in anyway. And you're creating a system of fanatics. What Trump did at the end, I will always see as a sort of emergency government. Trump had somewhat of an ad hoc government. Like basically, we're already at civil war. I'm just putting people in there to control power, to have power. When you had the last guy, the Barr left. Barr came out and said that the election stuff was total crap. His attorney general said that. The last guy was like, yeah, I'm going to promote your election lies. And someone said, if you do this, we're going to resign and take half this problem with us. It should be understood. That should be understood that it didn't stop. Trump ran out of time to do evil. He never became presidential. He, from day one, was the head of the Republican Party. He never became president. I will never see him as a president in my eyes. And I think that there's a time coming that this ideology could be there. I think ultimately Trump failed because of the system. Deep state, poof, whatever you want to call it. The state, the system, recognized that it was dangerous to see Mark Milley make a policy that if you're not in field exercise, you have to wear a military uniform, not fatigues. Because the notion was that he was worried that he'd see a whole bunch of troops, soldiers somewhere in fatigues, and he'd say, see, we're sending the military to Detroit, we're sending the military to Baltimore, and he was so worried about that he came up with that policy, which is a good policy. To see Mark Milley, now we know, talk and say, if Trump talks about nuclear weapons, contact me first. To see that reminds me that you had people in office, people who were in positions that recognized the danger of Trump's his ideology and where he was going to take us. I think that Trump, in a manner of speaking, was, I said before, he was after his time. His time was the 80s. That time was like the late 80s, early 90s. But I fear that Trump was a man before his time. And with Santos and other folks we see, I guess the good thing is with McConnell, not Mitch McConnell, the other guy I'm thinking about, the Speaker, Speaker of the House, I believe, right now, that he's not able to really get Republicans together to do anything in the Senate. And I take my wins where I can get them. That to see Marjorie Taylor Greene go through the crap she's going through and possibly facing charges, that to me is a good thing. That they are so stupid and so willfully ignorant about facts and decorum in regard to classified information that you'd go to a top secret meeting and take notes. You know, she's like the sniper that can't shoot. They shoot at the enemy compound. She can't hit nobody. So you let her live because she can't hit nobody. But I fear that a time is coming where these kind of people are able to concrete out or structure a sophisticated philosophy around this kind of crap. Right now, she's just somebody running around calling people transvestites. And Lauren Boebert's talking about college lesbian dance theory and just dumb things that make no sense to anybody. I guess when I heard it, my thought was, why do you care? Why is this something a congressperson's even talking about? This is what you got in office to do? To be, what are we talking about? I think that if they ever were able to really sophisticate out a philosophy, we'd be in a lot of trouble. And I don't think that Americans are good. I don't believe by any means America is a normal, reasonable, rational country, because it's not at all. You know, there are certain things right now that in a reasonable country, Trump will be in jail, and or we wouldn't be talking about him running for any public office, not even dog catcher. But the fact that people are still putting that forward with all the information we know about January the 6th and his decisions prior to those events, it makes you remember that it's not a rational country, not by any means. Not by any means. And that a moment could come, a moment that could be very dangerous. It could be very dangerous. I think that in a reasonable and rational country, not only would Trump political career be over with, I think that ultimately people around him would be destroyed as well. I guess one of the good things is seeing everybody around him can't get jobs. Everybody around Trump's either locked up, they're in jail, they facing court, they facing charges. They're like Giuliani and they broke. He can't even pay his alimony, he getting sued by his wife. He ain't got no protection. And last but not least, they're out here talking about him. You know, Mark Esper talking about him, and what's the guy's name? The NSA guy out here talking about him on CNN. The glasses, Bolton. You know, these are fascists. These are not what we're talking about. But your administration, they're the people that are there for you when you celebrate, as well as when you despair. And I think that ultimately they're the ones that carry forward the message of your administration. Every administration has a moment. Every administration is, or at least most of them, are going through trying times. And sometimes dealing with the frustrations of the administration before them. They are able to tell the story, even if you are not. And to see so many people come out against him and speak out against him in, highlighting his criminal actions as well as highlighting the acts of just corruption he took, the cruelty of the administration, the arbitrary and capricious abuse of power by the administration. I think that it is really telling. Where is where is his attorney general? He's still on TV. I still see Leon Panetta on TV sometimes. I still see Susan Rice on TV. Well, I haven't been a little bit while now, but I've seen her. So these people, I think also the fact that none of them can get jobs. It's just really telling about an administration that had no legitimacy, has no legitimacy now, but put forward ideas that could tragically come into fruition. Look at Bernie Sanders when he ran in 20, I think it was what, 2010, 2012? No, he ran in 2016. 16. He 20. It was 16, yeah. When he ran and he was talking about no dark money, and people thought that was crazy back then. They didn't know that was possible to run an administration, to run a campaign by standing on your values. And not everybody does that. So the concern for me going forward is that many of Trump's ideas could happen. We see Texas, we see Florida kidnap people and send them to other states. This is kidnapping. This is human trafficking by a state government. And the fact that now they're actually looking at these people for charges. Texas is. That the governor of Florida did this weak stuff, and these people were going through the process to become U.S. citizens, to get asylum, or at least understand asylum. And that by him doing that, they missed out on their hearings. This is the mind of the conservative. They don't care about the law. They care about hurting people. This is about harm and cruelty and viciousness and a capricious and arbitrary use of government force, not to help, not the government, not the public welfare, none of that. It's not to uplift, none of that stuff, but to harm, to prove a political point by harming the people that your base doesn't like. So, I think that I will always, if I ever write a book, I will always say Trump failed because Trump was a crook, surrounding himself with a crook, Flynn, Manafort, Stone. Take your pick. You got 3 videos right there. Take your pick. Surrounding himself around crooks and criminals, and they're facing the consequence of those actions. Bannon, these are criminals. These are people who put in with him in order to advance a white nationalist narrative. Thankfully, it failed this time. But I wonder if next time it may be more successful. Thanks for listening.